This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. We've hit Friday.
Yay!
Friday, September the 8th today, end of the first week of school. Too late to back out now, kids. And
You're
teachers.
in.
The old joke, but I don't want to go back to school. It's the first day of school. Nobody likes me. Mom says, but you're the principal. You know. I have my name tag on because
I see that.
at the time
Were
of
you afraid we'd forget who you are?
I'm going to be going on location today, so we have the world's most largest and most obvious name tags so that you can see me from space.
Well, again, it's good to remind all of us, too, because you've been walking around flashing it. Mm-hmm. In case we don't.
I work here. Mm-hmm. Not true. I don't actually work here, but I am employed by this company. I don't actually work, but I am employed by this company.
Okay.
People often ask me, how many people work at the radio station? I say almost half. That's my standard line. I got nothing for today. How you doing? How you
Pretty
doing,
well
Charity?
the same. Yeah.
Good.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because the kids are back to school, perhaps. It's just been... We focus on the kids this week, which we should. They're going back to school.
Right.
But it does hit the parents, too, I'm realizing. And not like the missing boohoo. They're growing up. It's an adjustment for everybody.
I'm not sure I've adjusted yet.
I definitely
And I don't
haven't.
think the weather's helping.
Oh, God, no.
Because it was so hot, it's still summertime.
Because you weren't... I guess I did a few errands, but for the most part, I was indoors because it was so stinking hot.
Yeah.
Just getting back into the routine, and we're so focused on getting the kids back into a routine that we forget about getting ourselves back into a routine, too. And I've been struggling with that this week.
I give up walking. I'm down for a walk
too.
this week, and normally I get the old pedometer going in the steps. It's like, well, that's another swing and a miss.
Exactly.
Got on the scale tomorrow. Yesterday, this morning, there's another pound. Okay, here we go.
Walking.
Get back at it.
I had all these things that I wanted to get started now that the kids are back to school, which I still intend to do.
Right.
But didn't do any of it this week. As you know, my sleeping's been...
Yeah.
Now, there's different reasons for that. But yesterday, case in point, where my clothes didn't match, kind of, that was an indicator right there that, whoa, okay, we need to reset everything here and get myself going, too.
I don't know when pickleball starts up again. I'm looking forward to that.
Well,
I got to get back to the Y and ask.
Exactly. I was taking some classes at the Y too. I believe their summer schedule's up this week, and the new one comes out next week. So I got to check and see.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Back at it.
Yep.
That'll be good. I don't necessarily need sweater yet, but
I do.
I don't need the stinking hot. That's pretty good.
I was done with the stinking hot, and then Mother Nature, boom, right in the face. I love sweater weather. You know that, though.
Yeah.
I would wear sweaters all the time if I could.
I read a thing that said, when are you too old to wear hoodies? And I went, I don't even want to read that article.
Never.
Because I love hoodies.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the pullover hoodie. Mm-hmm. And that's what like when you go and you buy clothes on vacation with a logo.
Yes.
I'm not a T-shirt guy.
No.
I'm a hoodie person. I'll buy the sweatshirt, being Canadian. Mm-hmm. I'm more likely to gravitate to the warmer clothes because I feel like I'll wear it longer.
And you will, because let's be honest, summer is a very short season in
And even
Canada.
then, I wear golf shirts. I don't wear
And you can't wear a
T-shirts.
sweater with a golf shirt. The collar doesn't work.
No, but so if I just wear a T-shirt, it's probably going to be hidden. But
you have no
I love
T-shirts.
me a hoodie.
You wear those, your golf shirts, or a hoodie. Because yes, during the winter, you quite often will have a hoodie on.
Yeah, I love the casual hoodie feel.
There's a comfort to it.
So we're getting into that kind of weather. So we have that going on. There's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Picton Fall Fair's going on.
Warkworth Fall Fair.
Warkworth Fair.
And Tyndonega Mohawk Fair.
Got their fair going on. Mm-hmm. Blues Festival, the inaugural Blues Festival is going on tomorrow. Absolutely free, but bring along cash, or most likely you'd help them best if you tap your card. They're going to have that chance. All of the money raised is going to go to Gleaners Food Bank.
When I think food donation, I always think food donation when there's a food bank attached to it, and I'm sure they wouldn't turn away any food if you brought. But Carol did make a point of mentioning the tap, which we've seen at different fundraisers, and it's so easy. It's great. You just tap.
I'm happy for it, though.
And you know what? It's so smart, because how many drive-thrus have you and I worked in and being like, oh, well, I've got some change here, which is great.
Right.
But when you can tap, it's a lot better for the organization.
Right.
Because then you can get a little bit more.
And it's not like I made a donation. My wife will balance that at the end of the month and make the donation. Ta-da! I get all the feel good, no work. Kath will just pay that at the end of the month. It's not like I spent any money at all. It just magically happens.
There you go.
And then I get ice cream. Good for me. All right.
Pat on the hat. Good
Thank
boy,
you.
Mark.
Thank you. Just keep putting it in there.
There you go.
What else we talked about this morning? How to be happy. What is it? $58 million and $6.49 on Saturday.
I'm sorry. That would make me happy.
I know it would.
But it might not last. And I think that's the key.
Here's a larger story that I saw this morning we didn't get into on the air. And it was like literally what's the amount of money? Like literally to the dollar. So they looked at cost of living and sociologists and economics.
Okay, for
got
what?
Together to be happy.
To be happy.
To be happy. And then at this point, north, like you say, you get $5,000 more. You don't actually grow in happiness. Like there's an exponential growth in happiness till you get to this amount of money. And then beyond that, you don't actually get happier because sometimes there are risks with that much more money and there's other problems with that. But this is the happiness level. And I believe the happiness level was about $115,000. So if you had a job where you made $115,000 a year, which is an incredible amount of money to me to have. But what would that be? Like, lawyers make more than that. Doctors make more than that. So it's an attainable amount. If you have enough education, 115, and everything over that doesn't really make you that much happier or more. It does, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it to try and make $10,000 more. The effort that it would take to make $10,000 more wouldn't bring you as much happiness as it would. So they worked it out that it's about $115,000, and that's the happiest you'll be if you made about that much money. You'd have no worries with where your next meal is going to come from or how you're going to make your car payment or any of that stuff. And you have enough money left over to do the important things, which are connect with other people, be able to have enough leisure time to be with your family, go on trips, friends, do your hobbies, and not have to worry about the bottom line. 115 tends to be it. So 58 million, holy smokes.
Yeah. And I say that, but as you've pointed out, it is a lot and more than I need, certainly. But I don't think either one of us would scoff at it.
No, I wouldn't.
If we had the winning ticket, we wouldn't be like, oh, this is too much. I cannot accept this.
First of all, I give you $115,000
well, thank you.
to make you happy.
Thanks. Every year or just once? Because you said 115 every year.
I need to set up a scholarship for charity.
Because that would make me happy.
See, I'm frugal enough at 60, having lived that kind of a life, that it would go under some umbrella really fast.
Oh, sure it would.
And
I would hope most
would.
I would hope most would do that.
Yep. I would never touch a penny of that 58. It'd be all because the amount of money. What's a 1-year GIC now?
I have
you
no
can
idea.
get like 5%, 6%. So that would be, what's that of 50 million? What's that, like $1.7 million in interest it would make every year? I wouldn't touch the principal. But anyway, so that's what we're about, 115. But if money doesn't buy happiness, and Paul McCartney's right, and money can't buy you love, what is it that is weighing you down then that if you got rid of it could make you happy?
And nothing shocking on this list.
Yeah.
It's a fight every day, I think, for everyone, some of these things.
And I'll be the first to admit I do all of these.
Oh, but that's just it. I think we all are guilty of this. That's what, every day it's a fight to fight with ourselves to overcome these things and to get past them.
Yep.
Certainly.
And it would rank in different orders as which one
for different people any given day.
That's right, is the worst at.
Yeah.
Although number one, I think, is my worst one. But I would have to go home with this list with Kath, literally, and say, can you rank these in the order at which you think I'm the worst to? No, I don't think you do that. Because number one on this list is the need to always be right. If you want to be happy, you need to give up this need that you always have to be right, because that just leads to arguments when somebody argues with you.
I do catch myself sometimes. It's not so much the need to be right, just the need to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
I can give up the need to be right. I don't have to be right all the time. I know I'm not right all the time. But just to be completely overlooked and not accounted for or thought of, that's where I get frustrated. That's what I can't let go of. And that's where I really dig in, and it makes me, I know it's detrimental to me more than anybody. Like, it's not bothering the other person.
Right, exactly.
But
yeah.
I don't need to be right, but you're going to hear what I have to say and at least listen to it and acknowledge the fact that I have an opinion or a thought or a suggestion or something. I don't care if you do it, but at least hear it. So Wayne might argue that.
But that's the thing, if you say, well, I need to be right. Well, what do you do in the case when you're not right? Will you apologize?
Do you admit that you're not right?
Yes. I was wrong.
Yes.
But the need to be right always means that you will confront and argue rather than just be happy. Like, you may know somebody's wrong and you're right, but is it really important at that moment for you to exert your dominance in being right?
And some do. Some will dig in too, and it doesn't even matter. Even if they know they're wrong, they'll still argue that they're right.
So if you want to be happy, you need to give that up.
Yes.
The need for control, hard time.
See, I struggle with that. I do struggle with that.
Yeah. I am, especially when it comes to things like traveling and leaving and arriving somewhere. We got to go.
For you.
Yeah, we got to go. Don't make me late. That's my need for control. Don't make me
that's just
late.
Or too many times I have relinquished control to other people.
That's hard.
And then things don't happen. And it's very hard.
Whereas if I had controlled it, it would have been great. And everybody would have had fun, including me. And now everybody's having fun but me. Because it didn't go the way I wanted it.
Well, and
give up control.
And you mentioned travel. There have been times where I've traveled with other people. And we have learned that we can't do that.
Yeah, right. Because some people can't travel.
Because it's just giving up that in that context. I know I can't. I know myself well enough that not complete control, but I have to. Otherwise, it's not going to go well. Other things, sure, I can give up control over, like, driving, or making decisions of it. I'm happy to step back with other things, but there's key things that I can't.
And I don't know why when I organize things and it goes great, people don't thank me. Maybe it doesn't go as well as I think. Maybe it was, like, good for me, but not for others. I don't know.
Well, then they should take back control for themselves.
If you want to be happy, you need to stop blaming others.
That's a big one. People, and like the always being right, some people just have a hard time taking responsibility themselves.
You blame other people. Your self-defeating self-talk.
Oh.
Yep.
Get stuck in your head. That's a hard one. That's really hard.
Yep. You won't even get yourself off the couch at that point. Why even try? Because I know I'll be terrible. I know they won't like me. I know that. And you just talk yourself into a horrible headspace, and you'll never be happy.
And it's so much. Truth be told, as we've said, you connect better with people when you find something to hate.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Being negative, it's so much easier than looking at the positive or telling yourself positive things. In radio too, you hear that. We always hear about the bad things. I remember that in college. You'll always hear about the bad things.
Right.
Very, you won't hear about the good things very often. So just accept that. You could be doing a great job. Don't expect to hear about it.
Right.
So it's easier to go to the negative.
Also, your limiting beliefs, you should give those up.
Yeah. Think of what you're missing out on by doing that.
Yep. You're only going to do things you believe in. Complaining. Give up complaining.
Oh, that's hard sometimes.
That is really hard.
Again, it comes back to focusing on the negative, right? It's easy to do that.
And I could hear people say, yeah, but when things aren't good, you have to complain. Yeah. But we're talking about the people who complain about everything. All the time.
Yeah. And standing in their own way.
Yeah, that's right. Everything is met with a complaint. You flip channels looking for a show. Every show tends to be horrible. Well, no, it's not.
Well, and if you look at this list, I know we're only halfway through, but it does all connect.
Yeah, it does.
Like the defeating comments, the complaining, the blaming everybody else, it's all outwards and putting it out there instead of looking at the good.
I love the language of this one. The luxury of criticism. We feel superior. When we criticize
does make
other
you feel
people,
good sometimes.
we feel like, oh, at least I'm not as horrible as that. When you criticize other people, in your mind, it elevates you.
Well, and again, that can get
the luxury of criticism.
And again, hand in hand with blaming other people.
Yeah. The need to impress others.
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. Your resistance to change.
Yep.
Fear.
Want
to give up?
Isn't that at the root of everything?
Yeah, I used the quote on the other this morning. I can't remember. If you Google it, I'll find out who said it. But they said, everything you want in life, everything you want in life is just the other side of fear. Mm-hmm. Like it's there. It's not like it doesn't exist. It's not like you can't have it. You're just afraid to go get it because it'll be too hard, or they won't like me, and you go back to being, a boy on a wall and a girl on the opposite wall at a high school dance. Everything you want, which is to dance with that girl, and the girl hoping that boy walks over, is just the other side of fear.
All the excuses, all that talk inside your head again.
Yep. Just the other side of fear. Your excuses.
Yeah, see?
Want to be happy? Give up the excuses, and finally, give up living your life to other people's expectations.
And we've heard that one.
That's a tough one, too. Because there are people that you love in your life whose opinion you value. And when you feel like you disappoint them, and it tends to be parents or aunts, uncles, grandparents, who you've let down, and you don't want to, or you're trying to impress them, and for the most part you already have.
Exactly.
So give up this notion that I would be happier doing this, but I know that if I don't do that, I'm really going to disappoint them. If you don't want to do that, and I'm thinking of like jobs, right? Mm-hmm. If I don't go into the family business, but I really want to do this, but I don't think they'll you can't think that way. If you want to be happy, you got to drop so many of those things. So heavy duty stuff.
Oh my goodness. But all really good tips and good reminders for all of us. Glass half full people, and just keep doing that.
Enjoy your weekend. Once again, it's a busy weekend around the Quinte region. InQuinte.ca is the place to get that. And, of course, be listening to us on Monday morning because Beat the Bank is back for Sandra Hussey of Extra Realty. Could be as much as $10,000. What's the secret? Here's the secret. There is no secret. Give up your fears. Right? Stop trying to impress
positive
Charity
things to yourself.
Positive things.
Don't make excuses. Pick up that phone. Or I guess, no, we're calling them, aren't we?
We're calling them.
So pick up the phone when we call you.
Listen
when
to
you
the sounder.
See 95.5 Hits FM on your phone. Pick it up.
We'll play after 7:30. Also next week, so there's a lot of stuff going on next week. I want to highlight, this is how organized we are. Vicky Samaras is going to be on the podcast and on the show next week because the Terry Fox run is a week from Sunday. In a couple of weeks, it'll be coming up in the schools. That's always such an important part of September for the great Terry Fox. So that's going to be going on there. Steve Cook of Belleville General Hospital is going to be on the podcast next week and on the show. A number of times he was in. Well, we talked about him on the podcast. We had just spoken to him before recording yesterday. And get ready for the Moulin Rouge Belleville General Hospital Gala. And I was re-listening to our chat with him this morning as I was sort of editing and putting it together and getting that feel. Because it's one thing to sit and talk to him about it. Now I'm listening to it like a listener again, and I am getting stoked and excited.
Good.
Because I can
big
picture,
event.
I can remember when it was back for years at the Sears Atrium.
Yes.
For years. Last few years, it was out on Sydney Street, the former Nortel building, which has now been redone, so we can't have that. And now it's at the Grand, which is beautiful. First time we were at the Grand a few years ago was during COVID, and Boyd Sullivan and I were the only two people in there. And we did the gala on the camera.
Yeah.
I did one night alone the year before where we really needed a piece of equipment, and we raised $100,000 with me 1 hour and a camera. And then Boyd and I were there with a band, and the band played for everybody on TV. And they lost their mind. They said, we need to be there live for that. So they brought them back last year.
Good.
And as you'll hear from Steve Cook will say, I don't think he's ever seen the dance floor more crowded for so long.
Yeah. And they've got another great band arranged for this year, live music on the way.
So at least 250 people already there at that gala coming up a week from Saturday. So he's going to be on the show next week. And the United Way has got its kickoff next Thursday. It's a breakfast out at Westwicks Park. Jennifer Smith's going to be on the show on the podcast. Get ready for that.
Do you know who else we're talking to next week?
Who else are we talking to
We've got
next
more.
week?
It's not just those ones. Yes. We'll talk to Minnie Verberg because the Quinte Arts, not the Quinte Arts Council,
Quinte Film Alternative. Yeah.
They've kicked off a new season. So the movies have started up again. We've got Chief Callahan because they have a special forum next Thursday night. So he's going to join us to talk about that. And we'll check in with Alex Gallagher from Shannonville Motorsport Park, which we gave away this week with Galaxy of Games. Passes to that because that continues too. That season is winding down, but still a few great weekends left.
We chatted with them. Late in May it kicked off, and this is the final weekend of the series. I think there may be more racing, but all of it ends next weekend. All of the points
and he's going to be here
and
for
a champion, and he'll be running it. We don't know. That's only 5 days. We have too much show.
All of that coming up next week
for 5 days, and Beat the Bank. And the Madonna mashup.
Yes, that continues too. Your chance to qualify to see Madonna because her tour was rescheduled. So we're giving that away on the 18th. But your chance to qualify all next week. It's a big week, Mark.
Big week, big weekend.
The middle of September. The middle of September next week.
It is. Here it is.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Catch your breath.
Oh my God.
Continues to be busy. InQuinte.ca online keeps you up to date with everything that's going on. It's Mark and Charity Mornings and the Coffee Podcast with 95.5 Hits FM.